The dining room in Dylan's sprawling Nashville home glowed under the chandelier. 30 relatives crowded around the extended mahogany table, as if it were just another ordinary holiday. The turkey had been carved, wine-poured laughter flowing easily until Dylan leaned back in his chair at the head of the table, glass in hand, and stared at his wife. "Valerie," he said, his voice slicing through the chatter like a knife through gravy. "Why don't you get down on your knees and apologize to Peyton properly right here, in front of everyone?" Valerie froze fork halfway to her mouth. The room didn't gasp, it chuckled. Low, knowing laughs from uncles and cousins, a snort from his father Harold, who slapped the table like it was prime entertainment. Beverly, his mother, dabbed her lips with a napkin, smirking. About time someone said it out loud. Peyton, Dylan's golden boy brother, just grinned wider, leaning back as Valerie's face drained of color. She slid from her chair slowly, knees hitting the hardwood with a thud that echoed too loudly. "I'm sorry," she whispered to Peyton, voice cracking. "For whatever I did." More laughter. Someone muttered, "That's more like it." Plates kept passing as if this were normal, as if forcing your wife to beg on the floor was just family tradition. I sat there silent, fork gripped tight in my hand, watching it all unfold. 5 years I'd lived in this house. 5 years of smiling through the barbs, the jokes, the gradual erosion of who I was. And in that moment, it all vanished, like those years had never existed. What happened next would cost everyone in this room more than they could imagine. Nashville's priciest scandal yet. I pushed back my chair, the scrape loud enough to turn a few heads. Without a word, I walked out of the dining room, up the grand staircase, heels clicking like a countdown. Behind me, the laughter resumed, Dylan calling out something about dessert. I reached the bedroom, closed the door softly, click, and leaned against it, heart pounding. Then the memories flooded in, the ones I'd buried deep over those 5 long years. If you're hooked on this kind of raw family betrayal and the revenge that follows, hit that like button, drop a comment with your wildest holiday horror story, and subscribe so you don't miss what Kayla does next. Trust me, it's about to get explosive. It started the night Dylan's real estate company nearly went under for the first time. He came home late, tie loose, face ashen, and dropped the bomb over half-eaten pizza in the kitchen. The bank was calling the note investors, bailing, and if he didn't raise 7 figures in 90 days, everything was gone. The mansion, the cars, the reputation he wore like cologne. I didn't hesitate. I opened the banking app on my phone right there at the kitchen island and wired the first chunk from the trust my grandfather left me. Not a loan, a gift. Because he was my brother and family doesn't let family drown. After that, it became routine. Every month, quietly, I covered 80% of the mortgage on this 6-bedroom monster in Green Hills. I paid the sky-high electric bills from the heated pool and unused outdoor kitchen in winter. I funded the minor renovation that turned into a full pool house overhaul. I bought Valerie's new Range Rover the Christmas after she totaled the last one, texting Peyton while driving, though no one ever said it aloud. No one in the house knew where the money really came from. To them, I had some boring office finance job downtown that allowed remote work. Dylan told guests I was good with numbers, like it was a cute hobby. The truth, I was the one pulling his company from the fire time and again. Whenever a major development deal faltered, Dylan emailed spreadsheets at midnight with one line, "Fix this." I'd stay up until dawn dissecting pro formas, spotting hidden risks, rewriting pitches until they shone. I authored the proposal that landed the riverfront project, the one that put his name on every billboard from downtown to Brentwood. When lenders circled again last year, I found the tax credit loophole that saved him $8 million. And every time he closed a deal, he'd throw a party here, slap Peyton on the back in front of investors, and say loudly enough for all to hear, "My brother's the brains behind half these ideas." Peyton would grin, shrug modestly, and accept the praise as if it were his. Valerie started treating me like staff around year 3. Kayla Han, can you run to Whole Foods? We're out of that organic Prosecco guests like. Kayla Catering's short-handed, could you plate the appetizers? Kayla Peyton staying over again, make up the blue guest room. I did it. Every time. Because saying no felt like admitting I was the outsider, not them. Harold and Beverly flew in from Florida 4 or 5 times a year. They'd claim the downstairs suite for weeks, holding court at the dinner table. Harold loved telling anyone who'd listen how Peyton was the sharp one, how he and Dylan were cut from the same cloth. Beverly would pat my hand and say, "You're so good to help out around here, sweetheart." Not everyone would. I smiled. I swallowed it. I kept wiring the money. Because family is family, right? You don't keep score. You don't walk away when it's hard. You stay, you fix it, and you hope one day they see you. Tonight proved they never would. I opened my eyes in the dark bedroom and surveyed the guest room that had become mine, smaller than the others, tucked at the hall's end with a slanted ceiling and single window. My clothes in one closet, laptop on the small desk. No photos of me on the downstairs walls. No reserved seat for me at the adults' table unless someone was absent. 5 years paying for this life, building it from the shadows, and in one Thanksgiving toast, Dylan erased me entirely. My phone buzzed on the dresser. Text from Dylan. "You coming back down, pie's out." I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Then I opened the banking app again, thumb hovering. This time I wasn't sending money. I was about to take it all back. Those weekend freelance projects I'd vanished for starting 3 years ago. They weren't side gigs. They were the real life I was building while everyone assumed I was just wasting time on my laptop. It began with a call from Raymond Holt, my old Vanderbilt finance professor, the only mentor who'd ever seen past the quiet girl in the back row. He'd retired from teaching, moved into venture capital, and wanted to launch something focused on health tech, AI diagnostics, telemedicine, wearable biotech. "Kayla," he said over coffee at Frothy Monkey one Saturday morning while Dylan thought I was at the office crunching numbers for some imaginary corporate client, "I need a partner who understands both the science and the money. That's you." We shook on it in that booth. HealthTech Ventures was born with $2 million in seed from Raymond's savings and my first major liquidity event from a college-era investment. No fanfare, no announcement. Just 2 people who believed medicine's future was coded in software and silicon. I told Dylan I'd taken on freelance consulting, boring financial modeling for a startup incubator. He nodded, barely looking up from his phone. "Cool, babe. As long as it doesn't interfere with family stuff." Valerie laughed the next week when she saw me packing an overnight bag. "You're such a nerd staying in to play with spreadsheets all weekend." Peyton smirked and called it Kayla's little hobby. Little hobby. Every Friday night I drove downtown to the loft office we rented in the Gulch, glass walls, whiteboards covered in pipeline charts, cold brew on tap. Saturdays and Sundays were non-stop pitch meetings with founders flown in from Boston and San Francisco, due diligence calls with hospital systems, term sheet negotiations until 3 a.m. I chaired every investment committee, grilled CEOs on unit economics, tore apart clinical trial data like balance sheets. Raymond handled the charm. I delivered the kill shots, the reasons we passed on 99 out of 100 deals. We raised our first real fund, $48 million in 18 months. Then $120 million for Fund 2. Then $280 million for Fund 3, oversubscribed before launch. Limited partners started calling us directly, university endowments, hospital networks, even a Norwegian sovereign wealth fund. HealthTech Ventures became Nashville's quiet powerhouse in the growing tech scene, whispered about by insiders, but little known outside our circle. All the while, I returned home Sunday nights to Dylan's mansion, unloading groceries Valerie texted me to buy, listening to Harold brag about Peyton's instincts while folding laundry. Dylan never asked what I really did on those weekends. Once, when a TechCrunch reporter quoted me in an article on women in venture, he skimmed it and said, "Huh, Didn't know your little freelance thing got press? Cute. That was it. I stopped correcting him. I was bone tired of my wins being folded into someone else's story. The riverfront deal. They thought Peyton brainstormed it. The pool house. They assumed Dylan paid. My silence became armor. If they wanted to believe I was the mousy sister handling support stuff, let them. It made building something untouchable easier. 6 months ago, we filed the S1 confidentially. HealthTech Ventures goes public next quarter. Analysts projected day one valuation north of $800 million. My carried interest and founder shares alone will clear 9 figures after lockup. I bought a downtown penthouse condo 2 years ago, cash from my first big carry payout. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Cumberland sleek kitchen. I rarely use closet larger than my guest room at Dylan's. I furnished it, hung art, stocked the bar, but I never fully moved in. Some foolish part of me waited for someone in that house to notice my absences, ask real questions, see me. Tonight proved that day would never come. I sent the email I drafted to our CFO copying Raymond and General Counsel. Subject: immediate freeze on all personal transfers and guarantees related to Dylan Russell, properties or entities. Then I blocked off the next 2 weeks on my calendar. No more sneaking back before brunch. No more excuses. The condo key had been in my purse for 2 years. It was time to go home, my real one. It started 3 months before Thanksgiving on a quiet Tuesday night when the house smelled of Valerie's roasted chicken and everyone pretended we were a normal family. Dylan waited until dessert pecan pie, my favorite, which should have been the first red flag. He slid a thick manila folder across the table right between the coffee cups. "Kayla, we need to talk about something important." I opened it. Transfer agreements. Dozens of pages proposing to shift 30% of my HealthTech Ventures founder shares and carried interest into a new irrevocable trust with Peyton as sole beneficiary. My fork stopped halfway to my mouth. Dylan leaned forward, elbows on the table, voice calm as if asking for salt. "Peyton's at that age where he needs real security, a foundation. We're building something lasting, and it's only fair the youngest gets a proper stake. Your little venture thing is about to explode, congrats by the way, so this is perfect timing." Valerie reached over and squeezed Peyton's hand. "Family shares everything, Kayla. You've been so blessed lately. Time to bless others." Peyton didn't even look embarrassed. He just nodded, eyes on the papers as if they were already signed. Harold cleared his throat from the table's end. "Your mother and I discussed it. It's the youngest's responsibility. In our day, the baby of the family always got cared for by the older ones. No questions." Beverly added, soft but sharp. "You live here rent-free, sweetheart. Eat our food. Drive the cars we insure. Least you can do is set Peyton up right." I closed the folder. "These are my shares. Earned. Vested. I'm not transferring them." The air shifted instantly. Dylan's smile tightened. "Come on, Kay, don't be selfish. It's not like you need it all. You've got that freelance money coming in." Valerie rolled her eyes. She's being dramatic again. The pressure built over weeks. Casual comments turned to daily digs. At breakfast, "Think about your brother's future, Kayla." During Sunday football, Harold muttering loud enough for me to hear, "Ungrateful, if you ask me." Valerie left the unsigned papers on my desk in the guest room with post-it notes. "Just sign Han. It'll make everyone happy." Peyton cornered me in the hallway one night. "You know I'd do the same for you if roles were reversed." He said it with that easy grin as if we both knew they never would be. Dylan escalated in November. He sat me down in his home office, door-closed, voice low and serious. "If you don't sign by Thanksgiving, we're done covering your life here. Mortgage payments stop. Utilities on you. And this isn't your house, Kayla. You can pack anytime." I asked where he thought I'd go. He laughed, actually laughed. "Where would you go? You've got no real job, no savings they can see. You need us more than we need your signature." I didn't argue. I just photographed every page with my phone and emailed them to Maria Santos HealthTech's corporate counsel, a brilliant litigator who'd risen from public defender to partner at one of Nashville's top firms. Maria called the next morning while I pretended to be on a freelance Zoom. "These documents are garbage," she said flatly. "Undue influence, lack of consideration, questionable capacity claims if they push it. Plus, the IPO lockup makes any transfer now a regulatory nightmare. They're bluffing hard, but the papers wouldn't hold up in court for 5 minutes." I thanked her, told her to stand by, and said nothing at home. The threats continued. Valerie accidentally threw out my work notebooks. Harold suggested I was unstable and might need help. Dylan changed the gate code one weekend while I was away freelancing and texted the new one with a winking emoji, "Don't make me change it again." They truly believed I had nowhere else to turn. They counted on my silence, my loyalty, the years I'd made their lives easy. Thanksgiving was their deadline. And tonight, watching Valerie kneel like a trained dog, I finally understood this wasn't about shares anymore. It was about ownership. Of the house. Of the narrative. Of me. But they'd miscalculated one thing. I'd stopped being theirs long ago. Thanksgiving night arrived exactly as they'd planned, for months the biggest party the Russell family had ever thrown. 30 relatives flew or drove in from across the country, filling every guest room and overflow hotels in Green Hills. The house sparkled caterers in black ties. Extra tables brought in warm light strings draped over the back patio, a jazz trio playing soft standards in the living room. Everyone dressed up, men in blazers, women in heels and pearls. Dylan greeted cousins at the door like a politician working a rope line. Dinner served at 7 sharp. The long table groaned under turkey ham, 3 stuffings, crystal bowls of cranberry relish. Peyton sat at Dylan's right, the unofficial seat of honor usually for the hostess. Valerie hovered nearby, refilling his wine first, laughing too loudly at his jokes. The first hour felt almost festive. Toasts to health, family, another banner year for the company. Harold told his annual golf story. Kids ran underfoot until shoot outside. I sat midway down the table, smiling when addressed passing dishes, invisible in my perfected way. Then tension started small. Valerie snapped about Peyton's phone buzzing nonstop. He fired back about her spending. Voices rose enough to cut through chatter. Dylan's jaw tightened. He set his glass down, hard silverware jumping. "Valerie," he said loud enough for the whole table, "apologize to Peyton, now." She tried laughing it off. "It was nothing." "On your knees." A napkin drop could have been heard. Valerie stared, color draining. Peyton leaned back, arms crossed, waiting. Harold chuckled, first low and approving. Beverly followed with a knowing smirk. Then the table, uncles, aunts, cousins joined in nervous giggles, turning to open laughter, like this was the night's best entertainment. Valerie's chair scraped. She lowered herself to the hardwood in her burgundy dress, knees thudding dully. "I'm sorry, Peyton," she said, voice trembling, "for raising my voice." More laughter. Someone clapped. Dylan nodded, satisfied, gesturing her up. I didn't laugh. I could barely breathe. Plates circulated. Conversation resumed as if nothing happened. 20 minutes later, as coffee and pumpkin pie were served, Dylan stood. He tapped his glass with a spoon until quiet. "One quick family matter before dessert," he announced, smiling wide. An assistant appeared with the familiar manila folder and placed it before me. A notary, some cousin's husband certified online, stood ready with his stamp. Kayla's kindly agreed to secure Peyton's future tonight. Simple signature, and we're set. Every head turned to me. I looked at the papers, then Dylan. "No." His smile froze. Valerie hissed, "Don't ruin the evening." Harold muttered, "After everything we've done for her." Laughter rippled again, sharper, mocking. Dylan's voice went cold. "Sign it, Kayla, or you're done here. You're not my sister anymore, not welcome in this house. Pack your shit and get out." The room erupted in agreement nods, murmurs, someone saying, "About time." I pushed my chair back slowly, stood. No one stopped me. I walked upstairs wordlessly past family photos on the wall that barely included me. In the guest room, 2 suitcases waited under the bed, packed yesterday clothes, neatly folded laptop and key files inside. I'd scheduled movers for tomorrow, but tonight was better. I slipped on my coat, grabbed the bags, and took the back stairs, the staff ones. The kitchen was empty, caterers out front. I let myself out the side door into cold November air. Gravel crunched under my wheels as I pulled away from the mansion for the last time. In the rear-view windows glowed warm gold laughter spilling out. I didn't cry. Not yet. I turned onto the interstate toward downtown, toward the condo that had waited, toward the life that was finally fully mine. Sunrise filtered through my downtown penthouse's floor-to-ceiling windows, painting the Cumberland River gold. I'd slept maybe 3 hours on the new king bed, still smelling of the showroom suitcases open on the floor like a reverse robbery. Coffee brewed in the machine I'd never used before last night. For the first time in years, the only sounds were distant traffic below and the city's low hum, unaware of my name. My phone rang at 8:30 sharp. Maria Santos. "Morning, Kayla. You sitting down?" I leaned against the cold marble island. "Always when you start like that?" She didn't waste time. "I pulled the master agreement between Apex Capital and Dylan Russell Properties last night. Couldn't sleep after your email. Apex is ready to commit $120 million in preferred equity to that mixed-use tower on Demon Brune, the one he's calling the crown jewel of Nashville. Closing in 9 days." I waited. Maria didn't call for gossip. "There's a rider buried in Exhibit C, Section 402. Apex maintains exclusive partnership with HealthTech Ventures for all integrated health tech components, clinics, telemedicine hubs, wearable integration in wellness residences. Every draw request material, change order, occupancy certificate tied to those requires final sign-off from HealthTech Ventures managing partner." I closed my eyes. "Me." "You," she confirmed. "Your signature or funding stops." The clause was inserted 2 years ago at Apex's insistence. Raymond's team made it non-negotiable because they trust only our portfolio companies for compliance and data security. Dylan's counsel initialed every page. I remembered drafting that language myself late one night in the Gulch office, Raymond pacing as I tightened it until ironclad. Dylan never asked what it meant. He just bragged to investors about landing Apex. Maria's voice softened. "They'll realize you hold the kill switch the moment they send the first compliance package. Start documenting everything: texts, voicemails, family emails since Thanksgiving. Screenshots of gate code changes, threats, all of it. We need a clean record if this turns hostile." "Already done," I said. "Separate drive, time-stamped." "Good girl." "And Kayla, whatever you do with this leverage, do it cold. No emotion in writing." We hung up. I stared at the river a long moment, then called Raymond. He answered on the second ring, voice, gravelly from his usual dawn fly fishing on the Caney Fork. "Kayla, everything all right?" I gave him the short version, no drama, just facts. The Thanksgiving blow-up, disownment, sudden discovery, his biggest deal now ran through me. Silence stretched long enough, I thought the call dropped. Then he exhaled. Jesus. I knew Dylan was flashy, but not stupid. That rider's still fully in force, our GC confirmed last quarter when Apex tried softening it. They couldn't. Your language was too tight. I wrote it, I reminded him. He chuckled low and proud. Damn right. So what's the play? I watched a barge slide under the bridge. We let them schedule closing. Let them invite press lineup, golden shovels, book the rooftop for the announcement party. Let Dylan feel invincible until he needs my name on the dotted line. Raymond didn't ask if I was sure. He'd known me since I was 21 and terrified of public speaking. You want me to stall or push? Push, I said. Tell Apex everything's on track from our side, no red flags. Done. A pause. You know this will scorch earth, right? I thought of Valerie on her knees before 30 people. Peyton's smug grin. Dylan telling the family I was no longer his sister. Let it burn, I said quietly. Raymond laughed once sharp. That's my girl. I'll courier the full package to your new address this afternoon. And Kayla, welcome home. I ended the call and finally poured the coffee. It tasted like freedom, bitter and hot. 9 days. They'd spent years taking pieces of me, assuming I'd never notice the theft. Now they were about to learn what happens when the quiet one finally collects. The grand ballroom at the Omni Nashville hummed with controlled chaos 3 days later, transformed into a stage for Dylan's triumph. Crystal chandeliers cast diamond light over 250 VIPs, city council members in tailored suits, bankers clutching champagne, developers networking like sharks. A massive LED wall behind the podium flashed renderings of the sleek mixed-use tower, glossy condos, rooftop gardens, integrated wellness clinics. Local news cameras rolled live streaming to thousands. Press badges dangled. Influencers snapped selfies with the centerpiece scale model. Dylan owned the room from the moment he stepped to the mic. Navy suit, sharp hair, perfect megawatt smile at 11. Ladies and gentlemen, he boomed voice, echoing off marble floors. Today, we don't just break ground, we redefine Nashville's skyline. Applause thundered. Valerie stood beside him in emerald silk, beaming like royalty. Peyton hovered nearby, shaking hands, accepting backslaps. Harold and Beverly held front row seats, nodding at every boast. Dylan signed his documents, first flourish after flourish, pen gliding under flashing bulbs. Dylan Russell Properties is proud to partner with Apex Capital on this visionary project. He declared, sliding papers to the Apex rep with a wink. The Apex lead counsel, silver-haired Elena Vasquez, reviewed the packet, then cleared her throat. Excellent. Now, per the exclusive integration rider in Section 4.2, we require final compliance certification and sign-off from HealthTech Ventures managing partner. Without it, HealthTech components can't proceed, and neither can funding tranche 1. Murmurs rippled. Dylan chuckled, waving it off. Just a formality. HealthTech's onboard Raymond Holt's team confirmed yesterday. Vasquez didn't smile. We need the signature here, today. On camera as agreed. Dylan's assistant scrambled phone to ear. Whispers turned puzzled. Peyton leaned in, muttering urgently. Valerie's smile faltered. Side doors swung open. I walked in steadily, heels clicking across polished floors. Badge clipped to my blazer. Kayla Russell, managing partner, HealthTech Ventures. Raymond rose from his front seat, extending a hand with a calm nod. Kayla, right on time. Gasps cut the air. Phones rose. Livestream chat exploded. I saw the scroll on the big screen. Wait, that's his sister. The freelance girl. Plot twist. Dylan's face went white. Kayla. What the hell? I reached the podium, ignoring him, taking the mic from the stunned moderator. For those who don't know me, I'm the managing partner who drafted the exclusivity clause you're all waiting on. HealthTech Ventures invests in technologies that save lives, not egos. I placed my leather folio on the table, flipping to the highlighted rider. This requires my personal approval for any partner embedding our portfolio company's tech. And after careful review, I'm declining. The room erupted, reporter shouts, flashes like gunfire. Vasquez nodded once, signaling her team to pack. Dylan lunged, grabbing my arm. You can't. This deal is everything. Jobs, legacy, the whole damn future. I pulled free, voice steady over the mic. Funny. Legacy was the word you used when trying to force me to hand over my shares to Peyton. Right before disowning me in front of the family. Valerie rushed up, eyes wild. Kayla, please think what you're doing. I said. I'm thinking about the night you dropped to your knees in that dining room, begging Peyton's forgiveness while everyone laughed. Dylan ordered it. Remember, on the hardwood in your designer dress, voice breaking. I'm sorry. Over nothing. Dylan's knees buckled slightly. He caught the table edge. That was private. Family stuff. Kayla, I'm begging, sign. We'll fix everything. You can come home. The plea hung raw, broadcast live worldwide. Harold stood face purple. Young lady, you're destroying us. Beverly sobbed into a tissue. Peyton just stared, mouth open. I looked straight into the nearest camera. HealthTech Ventures can't affiliate with partners showing zero respect for basic human dignity. Deals off. Vasquez addressed the crowd. Without this certification, Apex withdraws, effective immediately. Documents shredded into briefcases. Guests filed out in stunned clusters. The LED wall went dark. Livestream cut to a baffled anchor. Dylan sank into a chair as security escorted stragglers. You've ruined me, he whispered. No, I said, gathering my folio. You ruined yourself. The moment you decided I was disposable. Raymond clapped my shoulder as we exited. Reporters swarmed, questions flying. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The collapse was complete and spectacularly public. The weeks after the Omni Ballroom implosion unfolded like a slow-motion crash, everyone in Nashville rubbernecked. Apex issued a terse press release next morning, funding withdrawn due to non-compliance with material obligations. No blame, just cold corporate language. But damage was instant. Lenders circling Dylan's other projects suddenly demanded full financials. Suppliers halted credit. The riverfront tower, his crown jewel, went dark overnight. Construction trailers vanished within days. By mid-December, bankruptcy hit the courts. Chapter 11 first, then Chapter 7, when no rescuer appeared. Assets liquidated, piecemeal, company trucks auctioned in a muddy lot off Murfreesboro Pike, office furniture on Craigslist. Even the custom lobby neon snapped up by an East Nashville bar for irony. The mansion next. Foreclosure signs on the manicured lawn by January. I drove past once en route to a board meeting. Moving trucks idled in the drive while bank reps in cheap suits inventoried the wine cellar. Valerie's Range Rover was gone. She'd traded it before repossession. She filed for divorce the day bankruptcy converted. Smart, ruthless timing. Took half the unencumbered liquid assets, the Florida condo Harold and Beverly thought safe, every designer bag she could cram into a new Lexus. Last I heard, she'd moved to Atlanta with a plastic surgeon twice her age who didn't know her history. Peyton vanished fastest. Phone disconnected, socials scrubbed, last seen boarding a one-way to Denver under a friend's name. The golden boy who'd never worked a real day discovered charm doesn't pay rent when the trust pipeline dries. Harold and Beverly clung longest to the house, barricaded in the master suite until the marshal's 72-hour notice. They downsized to a 2-bedroom rental in Hendersonville with popcorn ceilings and no pool. Country club gala invites stopped. The symphony board quietly removed Harold's name from the donor wall. Old friends crossed the street at Whole Foods rather than chat about hard times. Dylan tried reaching me every way he knew. Hundreds of calls from burners I blocked instantly. Voicemails deleted unheard. Emails to trash. Handwritten letters couriered to the condo concierge returned unopened. He showed at HealthTech offices twice. Security escorted him out. Once he waited in my new building's lobby until police arrived. Restraining order filed next day. He never tried again. Meanwhile, HealthTech rang the NASDAQ bell in February. Oversubscribed IPO, stock up 42% at open. Headlines called us Nashville's quiet unicorn finally roaring. My post-money net worth cleared 10 figures before lunch. Raymond and I celebrated with barbecue takeout on the office balcony, watching numbers climb real time. I bought a modern glass house on the Cumberland Cliffs in April. Clean lines, no ghosts in the walls, views stretching to downtown. Furnished it slowly, pieces I chose, colors evoking no one else. Planted a small herb garden on the deck. Adopted a rescue greyhound who laps the yard like he can't believe the space is his. Some nights I sit on the patio with Wine City lights glittering across the water, thinking how close I came to signing it all away. How many years I spent shrinking to fit their family version. What I know now, cold and clear. Toxic blood doesn't earn a lifetime seat at your table just for shared DNA. People demanding your money, silence dignity while offering only contempt, aren't family, they're parasites in familiar faces. Forgiveness is personal. Reconciliation is transactional. Some debts can't be repaid because the currency they took your trust time, self-worth doesn't regrow. I never answered a message, never attended bankruptcy hearings, never sent flowers when Harold's heart faltered in spring, never picked up when Beverly's number flashed from a Chattanooga assisted living facility. I cut the cord clean, cauterized the wound, and walked. Some call it cruel. I call it survival. The greatest revenge isn't destruction, it's indifference. Building a life so full, bright, undeniably yours that their absence casts no shadow. They taught me how little I owed them. I finally believed the lesson. Nashville skyline at dusk. Reflecting on the Cumberland River, luxury mansion in Green Hills penthouse view over the Cumberland River, NASDAQ bell ringing ceremony, modern glass house on a cliff.